The Belcher family lives in a town that seems trapped in a nightmare. Businesses crumble, weird accidents happen constantly, and the main characters survive things that should definitely end them. This is not just cartoon logic. It is part of a massive hidden narrative that fans have been piecing together for over a decade. From the mystery of Louise's hat to the unsettling truth about the funeral home next door, nothing is what it seems. We are peeling back the layers of this animated onion, and trust me, it is gonna make you cry. Basically, everyone knows Bob's Burgers as this sweet, slightly chaotic show about a family trying to scrape by. But the origin story of this series is something straight out of a horror movie. When Lauren Boucard first came up with the idea, he was not thinking about family values. He was thinking about Sweeney Todd. The original concept for the show was that the Belchers were a family of cannibals. You heard that right. The idea was that they sourced their meat from the crematorium next door. It makes perfect sense when you look at the layout of the street. You have the restaurant right there, and literally next door is Mort's funeral home. In the original pitch, this was not just a coincidence, it was the business model. The bodies would come into the funeral home, and the meat would go out the back door and onto the grill. It explains why Bob is so obsessed with his ingredients and why the prices are so low. But when Boucard took this pitch to the executives at Fox, they freaked out. It basically said there is no way we are airing a cartoon about a family of serial criminals eating people. They laughed nervously and told him to scrub the cannibalism out of the script. So, here's the deal. Boucard agreed to change it. He made them a regular family with a regular burger joint, but he did not scrub everything. He kept the dark DNA of the show alive, just under the surface. In the very first episode, the plot literally revolves around a rumor that the burgers are made of human flesh. This is not just a throwaway joke. That is the writers nodding to the original twisted concept. They even have a line in the intro sequence of the show where a bus pulls up with an ad that says, "You'll never find the bodies." It is creepy when you think about it. The show is constantly making jokes about death and bodies. In the episode Human Flesh, Bob even makes a joke about long pig, which is a slang term for human meat. Most people laugh it off because Bob is awkward, but given the original pitch, it feels like a confession. The basement of the restaurant is another clue. It is dark, dingy, and strangely close to the body preparation areas of the funeral home. The creators have even admitted in interviews that they kept the darkness in the show. They just cooked it medium rare. They wanted that edge to remain, and it works. It gives the show this weird, uneasy vibe whenever they are in the basement or dealing with Mort. You are always waiting for the other shoe to drop. It is like the ghosts of the original concept are haunting the current show. And get this, there are cut scenes from season 1 that were never aired because they were too intense. We're talking about hallucinations of meat monsters and psychological breakdowns that look more like a bad trip than a primetime cartoon. The writers were pushing the envelope as far as they could without getting cancelled. They wanted us to feel that something was wrong with this family. And once you know about the cannibal pitch, you start to see it everywhere. You see it in the way the kids act, in the way Bob talks to the food, and in the strange isolation of the family. But it goes deeper than just the meat. The whole town feels off. It is like they are stuck in a place where normal rules do not apply. And that brings us to the next layer of the iceberg. It is not just about what they are eating, it is about what they are hiding. Specifically, what the youngest member of the family is hiding on top of her head. Louise's bunny ears are iconic. She never takes them off. But have you ever stopped to ask why? It is not just a fashion statement. The theories surrounding those ears take us into some truly heartbreaking territory. The mystery of the pink hat reveals a tragic past. Everyone loves Louise. She is the chaotic mastermind of the family. But her obsession with her pink bunny ears is a massive red flag that screams childhood trauma. It is not normal for a 9-year-old to wear a hat 24/7, even in bed, even at the beach. The iceberg theory suggests that the ears are a coping mechanism for severe anxiety or a past accident. Think about it. The ears act like a shield. They cover her real ears, muffling the world around her. Some fans believe Louise suffers from sensory processing issues or extreme anxiety, and the hat helps make her feel safe. It is a security blanket that she has never outgrown. But the darker theory is that she is hiding a physical scar. Maybe she was in an accident when she was younger, something involving the restaurant or a car, and the hat covers the injury. There is a deep cut episode called Earlobe Deep where Louise has to confront her fears. We see cracks in her armor. She's not just being stubborn, she's terrified. She's scared of being vulnerable. And that fear reached its peak in the Bob's Burgers movie. There is a scene that shocked everyone. The family gets trapped in a sinkhole. They are literally being buried alive. For a comedy, this scene was intense. The dirt is rising, the air is running out, and the panic is real. The child actors who voiced the characters actually needed therapy dogs on the set because the scene was so heavy. The director, Lauren Boucard, admitted that this scene echoed his own fear of family erasure. He wanted to show the ultimate nightmare, the family disappearing into the earth. In that moment, Louise's ears are not just a cute accessory. They're the only part of her that is still defiant against the crushing weight of the earth. It represents her fight to survive. But it also highlights how fragile she really is. If she loses those ears, she loses her identity. She loses her protection. And that brings us to the curse aspect. It is not just Louise who is suffering. The whole street seems to be fighting against some invisible force. Have you noticed the building next door? The one that changes every single intro? It is always a different business with a pun name. Seymour's Butts, Isabel's Bridal Shop, the list goes on. We laugh at the puns, but think about the reality of that. Every single week a new business opens, and every single week it fails. That is a 100% failure rate. That is not just a bad economy. That is supernatural. The theory is that the location is cursed. Nothing can survive there. It is a portal to bad luck, or maybe something even stranger. Some iceberg explorers believe the storefront is a leak in reality. A breach between dimensions. That is why businesses are so absurd and why they vanish so quickly. In the episode Brunch Squatch, Mickey digs a tunnel under the street. He almost breaches the foundation of the town. He was digging too deep, literally and metaphorically. The town itself feels like a trap. The Belchers are stuck in this loop of poverty and struggle, surrounded by failure. And the constantly changing building is the ticking clock reminding them that everything is temporary. Everything ends. But what if it is not just the town? What if the family itself is not what we think they are? There is a theory that explains the bad luck, the time loop, and the weird occurrences. It is the darkest theory of the entire iceberg, and once you hear it, you cannot unhear it. The family might not be living on Ocean Avenue at all. This is the big one. The theory that keeps fans up at night. The idea is simple but devastating. The Belcher family died in the very first episode. Remember the pilot? There is a fire. It is played for laughs, but fires in old buildings are no joke. The theory suggests that the fire was fatal. The family perished in the flames, and everything we have seen for the last 14 seasons is their purgatory. It sounds crazy, but the evidence is surprisingly strong. First, look at the timeline. The characters never age. Tina is always stuck in puberty, Louise is always a child, and Bob is always middle-aged and tired. They are trapped in a loop. In purgatory, time does not move forward. You just relive your issues over and over again until you resolve them. And the Belchers have a lot of unresolved issues. Bob is obsessed with his burgers because that was his life's work, left unfinished. Linda is constantly singing and trying to be the center of attention because she craves the life she lost. The kids are stuck in their distinct phases of childhood, never allowed to grow up. Then there is Hugo, the health inspector who hates Bob. In this theory, Hugo is not just a bureaucrat. He is a demon. He is a tormentor sent to punish Bob for his sins, specifically the sin of pride. Bob refused to give up on his dream, even when it hurt his family, and now he is forced to run a failing restaurant for eternity with a man who wants to shut him down constantly hovering over his shoulder. This theory gained massive traction on Reddit. A user named Gear Girl posted a breakdown of this idea that got over 10,000 upvotes. It was so convincing that people started analyzing the color palettes of the show. The colors are often muted, earth tones, except for the bright, jarring moments of chaos. It looks like a fading memory. And let's look at the episode House Trap. Helen, a recurring character, essentially admits to ending her husband. She pushes him off of a roof. It is a grim, dark moment. User Zhammer on Reddit pointed out that Bob's reaction to this is strangely optimistic. He just keeps going. The theory says Bob stays cheery because he is already dead. concept of mortality does not scare him anymore because the worst has already happened. It explains why they survive everything. Car crashes, fires, nearly drowning in the movie. They cannot die again. They're just ghosts haunting their own restaurant. The customers are either other lost souls or just background noise in their collective hallucination. This theory turns the entire show into a tragedy. It transforms a goofy comedy into a story about a father who could not save his family, creating a fantasy world where they are still together, still cooking, still laughing. It is heartbreaking. But here's the catch. Even if they are ghosts, they're happy. They have each other, and maybe that's the point. Whether they are cannibals, trauma survivors, or spirits stuck in limbo, they are a unit. But there is one final layer to this mystery. So is Bob's Burgers a wholesome comedy or a secret horror story about a ghost family of cannibals? The evidence is there, but maybe it is up for you to decide. Next time you watch, look at the basement shadows a little closer. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit that like button and subscribe for more mysteries. What do you think is the real secret of the secret sauce? Let me know below.